There have been many adaptations of the Shakespeare play over the years. Some think that it's the most famous play the Bard ever wrote. Some don't think that. It's definitely the most adapted play of his. Numerous directors have taken on the challenge of adapting this play into a movie and giving their own spin to it. Since I had no insight into Shakespeare or had little interest, I watched 4 adaptations of Macbeth back to back, so I wouldn't feel alienated by the dialogue when I got around to watching this one and could analyze this adaptation compared to the other, since the source material has been out there for literally centuries. And when I got to this adaptation, I had a deeper idea of the beats the story goes through. The ones I've seen are Polanski's 1971 version, which is bloody and grim and sometimes outright bizarre. I also watched 1979's Philip Casson's version of Macbeth, starring Ian McKellen, paired with Judi Dench's Lady Macbeth. It has a claustrophobic feeling to it. It's very intense. It's a stage production converted into a TV movie. Ian McKellen's portrayal of Macbeth is probably my favorite. After this video, just YouTube search Ian McKellen as Macbeth tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, and you'll know what I mean. After that, there's also Jim Caviezel's 2015 version, which stars Michael Fassbender and Marion Cotillard. That movie is brutal, and it's also a war movie in a way. It has a beautiful color palette that instigates a sense of ecstasy when you're watching it. I've yet to see Akira Kurosawa's Throne of Blood, but I will be rectifying that soon. So how does Joel Coen's version fare up compared to the others? Let's talk about it.
By the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes.
The Tragedy of Macbeth is an A24 production helmed by Joel Coen, half of the Oscar-winning directorial duo the Coen brothers. This is Joel Coen's first solo project. If you have seen A24 movies or if you're familiar with this play, you know what you're in for. I'm going to keep it spoiler-free as much as possible, but considering it's like the 13th adaptation of a 16th century play, I think I have some leeway. The basic synopsis of this movie is Denzel Washington's Macbeth comes across 3 witches who prophesize that in the upcoming future he will be the king of Scotland, which grows a seed of ambition and greed in him to have more and more for himself. And to get that, he will cross anyone and do anything to get to the highest point and stay there. It's a story about arrogance and vanity and guilt and tortured moral sense. The biggest hurdle for people to overcome probably will be all the dialogue is in Elizabethan English, as is customary with Shakespeare adaptations. The movie uses Academy ratio, which is 1.37 by 1 or a slightly stretched 4:3 ratio. It sets the movie apart in a way from other adaptations. The production design is unreal. The lighting used is very specific and most often jaw-droppingly prepossessing. And the atmosphere of the movie comes off very surreal and sort of like a fever dream. Nothing is diluted for the audience and is left to fend for themselves and figure out what the essence of everything being said is. The movie is devoid of all color and shot in black and white to enhance its mystical lighting and production design. The characters, more often than not, are standing in wide spaces barren of any objects opposite colorless concrete or windows with light bleeding through to indicate the characteristics of expressionism. The sound design is also faultless and very minimalistic, as is traditional in A24 movies. The cinematography is done by Bruno Delbonnel, who previously paired up with the Coen brothers to do A Ballad of Buster Scruggs and Inside Llewyn Davis, I reckon there will be an Oscar nomination for him. The use of close and intense shots and the use of shadows is expertly done. I haven't even mentioned the stellar cast of this movie yet. The great Denzel Washington plays the titular character. Frances McDormand plays Lady Macbeth. Brandon Gleeson is Duncan, and Harry Melling portrays Malcolm. And Catherine Hunter plays the best interpretation of 3 witches I have seen and plays it remarkably well. Denzel Washington's representation of Macbeth is absolutely sublime. It might be weird to say, but imagine Denzel delivering Macbeth's more animated monologues or soliloquies in the way of his King Kong monologue from Training Day. There is one scene where Macbeth is talking with Lady Macbeth about how the lineage of Banquo will have kings, whereas he has no heir to pass on the kingdom. If that scene alone doesn't net Denzel an Oscar nomination, then I don't know anything anymore. Denzel truly is one of the greatest actors of all time. Frances McDormand has yet another great performance on her profile to be proud of. The characterization of ambitious and brutal Lady Macbeth constantly egging her husband on to achieve the goal in a way that is bloody and remorseless is incredible. This movie is a mesmerizing piece of cinema supported by illustrious cast and is worthy of Oscar attention. I hope the rest of 2022 has something to offer on this level. It's an easy 4.75 out of 5 stars. For me, it was great. Consider checking it out. It's worthy of your time, I'd say. It's if you can look past the Shakespearean dialogue. As always, if you like what you've seen, consider subscribing and dropping a like. It would help me immensely. And if you've seen the movie, maybe tell me what you thought of it down in the comments, whether you agree with my opinion or not. I'm Farooq, and this has been Cinenthusiastic. Thanks for watching. See you next time.